All right, hello class. Welcome to week 8. This week we're reading Anthem by Ayn Rand, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Like you guys, I've read this for the very first time this term. Talked a lot about it with Dr. Brady, and we talked about other stuff by Ayn Rand, but I have yet to read this story, and I recently did, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really interesting. So in today's lecture, just going to talk about this story, the author, and then get you caught up on the course's Blackboard and what's left. We are in week 8, which means we'll have 4 weeks left, including this week. So let's get started here. Have a quick lecture to run through. We're really short, and then we will get on to the course and what's coming down the pipeline. So let's start here. All right. So as I said, this week we are reading Anthem by Ayn Rand, and she came up with this book. She came up with the idea because during her school days in Soviet Russia, individualism was under attack. They were getting rid of it, and they were creating this collective way of thinking and operating. And she thought, what would it be like if there was no I anymore? If everything was only we? And you'll see this how in this story the narrator doesn't use the word I or me. Instead, it's we and us. So moving on. So she does have this. She's a big supporter of individualism, and she pushes for selfishness. But I think what you may view as selfishness is a little different than how she views it. So in her philosophy, selfishness to her means to follow reason and not the whims of faith. And she'll state that follow reason means to reject emotions, faith, or any other authoritarian source. It should all come from within, and then we have to make that conscious choice to see reason and follow it ourselves. It can't come on down from anybody else, but it has to come from within. She believes that we should work hard to achieve a life of purpose and productiveness. And again, that it comes from within. It's on our own. It doesn't come from another source. She will. Her views on economics are interesting. She takes a very laissez-faire type of capitalism approach. So she believes in this complete separation of the state and its involvement with the economy. She believes that people should earn their genuine self-esteem. Again, you'll see this as you read this book is when our narrator is down in the underground doing his studies, or when he's out in the nature, and how he starts to appreciate this aloneness that he has, and how he is in charge of it. He learns how to be in charge of his own happiness. And that we should be pursuing our own happiness as our highest moral. And this is also seen in the text when he talks about, he created that light bulb, and he says, I created it for me. He originally was thinking that he did it for others, but in the real sense, he did it for himself. And he pursued that himself. And she believes that people should treat others as individuals, trading value for value. And that's what she believes. The role of the state when it comes to economics is that it protects the rights of the individual instead of pushing some type of agenda or controlling the economy however they can, but just to let it. It's just like the invisible hand is what she's supporting. So in this story, as you read it, you'll notice that this society, this world that is created here, is one that doesn't have much technological advancement, and it's because the council doesn't fund it that way. They're in charge of how what technologies are available to their population. The men and women are assigned jobs. They don't get to pick what they do in life. They are given a job, and that's what they have to do. And like in some of these other dystopian novels, reproduction is controlled by the state. Individuality is completely removed. The word I is not used. The word me. It's all we and us. In continuation of that thought, people don't even have their own names. They're given a name, and it's more like a serial number, a way of tracking people. It's not, it's not like your parents give you a name that has meaning to them. It's just a name given by the state. So again, I read this for the first time, and I think the chapter that stood out most to me was chapter 7. I imagine a lot of you guys have had similar experiences to what our narrator experiences here. But for me, I think this is the one that resonated well, and I think it really demonstrates some of the weaknesses to the collective thinking. Again, I personally don't agree with everything she says, but she does have some interesting ideas, and I do respect her thoughts. But in this chapter, the narrator comes and he's bringing his invention to this high council, this world council, and he wants to share his invention so that way it can better, mankind. And as you guys will read, they have a different reception to what he originally was expecting. And here's a quote from it. It says, so this is after he presents the light bulb, and then the High Council responds. So this would wreck the plans of the World Council, said Unanimity 29913. And without the plans of the World Council, the sun cannot rise. It took 50 years to secure the approval of the Council for the candle, to decide upon the number needed, and to refit the plans so that as to make candles instead of torches. This touched upon thousands and thousands of men working in scores of states. We cannot alter the plans again so soon. So this kind of shows you this ineffectiveness of bureaucracy, and how when a society can only advance when everyone agrees, it just shows you how difficult that makes advancement to happen. So when everyone has to agree on one thing before it can be approved, it may never happen because everyone's going to have different opinions and different thoughts because we are individuals in our own way. So it's very difficult for change to occur in this collective mentality. So moving on, as you are reading, please, there are some key symbols that are interesting. I want you to pay attention to, and maybe you can even journal about these as you are reading. So this idea of fear and how it impacts this nation. I think light is a big theme. He creates the light bulb. The girl that he falls in love with calls the golden one. This idea of how important, when he was so amazed by windows. You can also talk about naming, how you can talk about the names that the state gives versus the names that are given later in the book by the narrator and his girlfriend, and also the forest, and your thoughts on what that represents. So those are just some themes to look at as you are reading. I'm going to move on now to our course's Blackboard. So when you go to our Blackboard, go into your course. So again, I did leave all the quizzes open. So you guys, if you got a 0, go back in and take the quiz, and then send me an email once you're done, and I will go and update your grade. Same with the discussion boards. All the discussion boards are still open for you to go in and participate in, so please do so. And then once you do post in the discussion board, just shoot me an email, let me know, and then I can update your grade. So this week, we will be in Anthem, the October 9th week. You'll watch this lecture, read the story. It's a really short story. You can probably finish it in about 2 hours or less. Watch the YouTube video right here. You'll be using this in your discussion board. Post in the discussion board. So, in addition to watching the YouTube video and posting, please reread chapter 7 again. And I'm just kind of curious to read your guys' thoughts on that. And if you've experienced anything similar to what Equality 72521 has experienced. Also, there is a website that you can click on. If you click on this link right here, that'll take you to website by Ayn Rand, or about Ayn Rand and some of her views, her works, her ideas. Maybe worth. It's actually going to be helpful if you do decide to do the extra credit for the paper, which I'll talk about here in a second. Dr. Brady did go through an ebook and change the I and the me's to, or the we's and the us's to I and me, to make it easier for you guys to read. If you are struggling and you are confused, you can go here and do that. Granted, it's going to change the story for you, I think, in a little bit. I think it's much better to read the original way, but that is here if you are struggling. So if you haven't, please start working on your paper now. You'll have all next week to work on it, and make sure you go back and catch up if you are missing out on anything. The paper is due October 30th. That is the Monday of finals week. I had it set to the 20th, but I did read some of Dr. Brady's notes, and he was going to give you more time. So for those of you who are planning on using that time, I'm going to make sure you have that. Again, so the paper is due October 30th. And so next week, we will be working on our papers, or you will be working on your papers. All the instructions of what I'm looking for are right here. Again, it is due Monday, October 30th. And then if you want to get extra credit, you can include Anthem in the comparison and contrast. So it'll make your paper much longer. It'll be probably closer to 4 pages longer. But I will go in and replace your lowest week scores with 100% on the discussion board and the quiz. So if you want to get the extra credit, that's what you can do to get caught up. Some of you, this can be very helpful, way to regain some points. To upload your paper once you have completed it, please click on this research paper title. You'll then select Browse My Computer, and then you select your Word document, and then hit Submit. And that's how I want you guys to upload your papers to Blackboard. You can use the Wayland Writing Center. I do recommend it. I guarantee you it'll probably be make a letter grade's worth of a difference if you go through the Wayland Writing Center. They'll go in, they'll look at your paper, they'll help you with your writing, you'll correct some different grammar mistakes that you made, as well as make sure that your writing is nice and clear. So if you get a chance, or I do recommend that you make time to submit it to the Writing Center and have them look it over. You don't even have to submit your final draft there. You can just submit, the first half of it for them to review. So you just go to Wayland's homepage, and then there's the Multipurpose Writing Center, and just click on that link, and then you could submit it online, and then they go in and review the paper for you. So if you have any questions, again, I know it's been difficult in this transition. Some things may not be as clear. Don't hesitate to contact me. I'm here to help, and I hope you guys have a great week, and I hope you enjoy the book. I'll talk to you later.